This question appears quite innocent and simple, but I encourage you to give it a try, and I think you'll find out for yourself that it's actually quite difficult. And well done to you if you can solve this. So anyway, I'm going to go through the solution now. So if we're given that sine of alpha minus beta is equal to 1 over 2, and sine of alpha plus beta is equal to -1, where alpha has to be between 180 degrees and 360 degrees, and beta has to be between 0 and 90 degrees, we are asked to solve for alpha and beta given these criteria. So the first thing I notice is that in this sine of alpha minus beta equal to 1 over 2, we have a special angle that can be solved. So sine of alpha minus beta equal to 1 over 2 means that alpha minus beta has to be equal to 360 degrees. But there's a twist, and there's something important to note. So we know that in the first quadrant, all trig angles are going to be positive. In the second quadrant, sine angles are going to be positive, in the third, tan angles, and in the fourth, cosine angles. So now we have a sine problem here, and our solution is positive. So we're going to have an angle that's either in the first quadrant or the second quadrant. So using the reverse of reduction, alpha minus beta can either be equal to 30 degrees from the first quadrant, or alpha minus beta can be equal to 150 degrees from the second quadrant. And that's simply from 180 minus 30 degrees. All right, so now let's look at this. We have alpha plus beta equal to -1, which is just going to be 270 degrees. There's only one way to get -1, as you can remember from the sine function. It's only equal to -1, 270 degrees. Okay, so now we have this, which is quite interesting, and we need to solve for alpha and for beta. So I propose we first go ahead and use simultaneous equations. So I'll keep that up there for now, and try and solve for alpha and beta with these two equations. So I'm going to propose that we add them, which means our betas will disappear, and we'll have 2 alpha equal to 300 degrees, and then alpha will obviously then be equal to 150 degrees. But now we had a restriction where alpha had to be between 180 and 360, and 150 clearly doesn't lie in that interval, so this is obviously not a valid way to solve it. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll try something else, or rather let's get rid of it more strategically. Let's put in this equation here. And let's try and solve the simultaneous equations using these. So we're going to add them, and once again we'll get 2 alpha, and negative beta plus beta is going to be 0, so those will disappear. And 150 degrees plus 270 degrees is going to be 420 degrees. And divide that by 2, and we get 210 degrees. And as you can see, 210 degrees does fit in that interval. So we're on the right track. So we can now go and solve for beta. So if we'll sub this into this equation by saying 210 degrees minus beta is equal to 150 degrees, and we solve for beta equal to 60 degrees. So there you go. We've solved it, and we'll just double check. This 60 degrees does fall into this interval. So it all does make sense. And if we look at it, alpha minus beta over here is 210 minus 60, which is going to be 150 degrees. And sine of 150 degrees is a sine of 180 minus 30 degrees, which is going to be equal to, through reduction, sine of 30 degrees, which is 1 over 2. So it makes sense there. And for sine of alpha plus beta, we have sine of 210 degrees plus 60 degrees, which is sine of 270 degrees, which is indeed -1. So everything does work out very well. So well done, of course, if you did manage to find the solution. The tricky part was, I think, getting this alpha minus beta equal to 150 degrees. A lot of people would have just seen this and thought it was a special angle, which they would have been right, but they would have just left it as alpha minus beta equal to 30 degrees. And as you've seen from my solution, it wouldn't have worked out if you had just done it that way. So well done if you did solve it, and if you didn't, I hope you learned something. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you've been watching my series, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one for day 91. Thank you.